Welcome to Passionate World Radio Talk Network. Educate, enlighten, entertain. And today on People Need Help and to Talk with your host Lillian Cauldwell, we are going to talk about a special type of anger. I call it baggage anger. And this is the type of anger that accumulates over a very long time or can be a short time. But it's the type of anger people don't usually take out and address. And during the pandemic, I suspect that there are a lot of people out there that not only need help in learning how to control their anger, but also learn how to talk about their anger so they won't let it overwhelm them. So what's a good example of baggage anger? I'll use myself. I raised a child, as everyone knows, by myself for 15 years. And nobody really prepared me as a young adult at the age of 21, when I had my child, of how to be a good parent. I always thought that I'd be married and my husband and I would bring up baby. Well, that did not work out. Father was an abuser. I got divorced. So what happened? I wasn't prepared to handle the anger I felt when suddenly I was faced with raising a child by myself. Well, when I got to be 25, 26, my parents both were sick. One had Parkinson's and the other one had colon cancer. Well, in our society, women are expected to be the caregivers and take care of not only our own parents, but the parents of our husband. So for the next 10 years, while I was bringing up baby, I was also taking care of my parents. Don't get me wrong. I was working. I was going to school. I was taking my kid to daycare and picking him up. And yes, he went to school. And I took care of my parents and took care of the needs. Fine. Did I have any place to discuss this? No. Did I have a place where I could go and let out my anger? No. But there it was. I was getting angrier. And to compound everything else, my parents, especially my mom, came from an era where women were barefoot and pregnant. They were expected to get married, stay married, and support their husband in all their endeavors, which is fine. But it didn't work out. What was the problem, you want to know? Well, she kept on bugging me, get married. Why aren't you getting married? What's wrong with you? What are you doing wrong? You're not doing a thing. You don't go out. You have to find a father for your son. I listened to that for 15 years. You better believe I was getting angry. And then I met the man of my dreams and I got married. And guess what? The first 10 years of my life were wonderful. It was the last 20 years that were the worst because I suddenly found out my husband wasn't the person who I thought he was. Was I getting angry? Absolutely. Guess what? There are no outlets for people who are so angry they have to let out their baggage. Oh, yes, people pick up guns. Guns always work. People start abusing their wives or their husbands or their children. That's another way. Or they slap people, hit people, put their fists through the wall. It's all anger, folks. It's all suppressed. It's all baggage anger that you have not had a chance to get rid of your system. Fast forward 30 years. Kid is out of the house, has his own family. Your husband has gone to meet his maker, and you are now officially alone. Guess what? You're still angry. You still haven't gotten rid of that baggage anger, and you may have met somebody online. Okay, they say, watch out for all the red flags. So how do you tell the difference between a red flag, green flag? How do you tell whether or not this is a good guy or this is a good girl and you're not going to get screwed by them or scanned by them? You don't know. You have to take a chance. And slowly your anger gets worse and worse. What do? Well, you can do what I do. and I let my anger out in the car, and I'm not wearing my mask because it's just me inside the car. I'm not going to affect anybody. And the people behind me and either side of me, well, they sort of pull away because they know I'm angry. This is one angry hombre, and we do not want to get any closer to her than we have to. Well, that's fine. Or you may have a mishap at the gas station, so you start screaming and throwing a tantrum. Why? Because your anger has gotten the best of you and you can no longer contain it. You just don't know what to do. You're fuming mad because all this baggage has been accumulating over the last 10, 15 years, and you have no place to put it. Now they have places for kids, and guys can go out and play games that they hit at things, and I guess women can too, but I wonder if that's really getting out your anger. So let me give you a piece of advice. First of all, don't get angry. It stresses out your system, it attacks your immunity system. Take it from me. I was diagnosed with systemic lupus. Why? I had too much stress in my life. I was taking care of my parents. I was taking care of my son. I was putting myself through school. I was doing the whole mom routine. I was doing the volunteer routine. I was at work. I was going to try to improve my work so I could get paid more. I'll tell you something, your system reaches a level of no return. So if you want your health to remain in good shape, first rule of thumb, don't get stressed. So what do? Well, I used to take my kid to the park so he would run himself ragged, get himself exhausted, so he would go to bed. Do the same thing for you. Run yourself ragged, roll down the hill, do silly things, but make sure you get to relax, because if you don't, you get bad tension headaches. You get migraines. Yeah, I have migraines. I have tension headaches. And I also have stomach problems. Yeah, that all that stress and anger, it goes right into your stomach. You don't want to put it in your stomach because that is the start of something even worse. So you start eating a lot of anti-acid tablets, which isn't good for you in the first place, or you're drinking bottles of Pepto-Bismol. You don't want to do that. What you have to learn to do is what you do with your kids and your husband when you get angry at them. You pick your battles. And if it isn't a big deal, let it go. Let it slide off your back. Put it in the garbage can. Put it in the toilet and flush it down the drain. But don't punish yourself for something you have no control of. I remember my grandma. She was born in the late 1890s, and she was taught to be a lady, and she wore gloves and a hat and a veil, the whole 9 yards. And you know what? I never saw her angry, ever. And I asked her about it. Grandma, I said, don't you ever get angry? And she says, yes, but I don't get angry all the time. It's not worth it. It doesn't solve anything. So what you need to do is go into the kitchen and clean it up, or go scrub a floor. Do something where you can use that negative energy and get it out of your system, and you will feel better. Take a walk, ride a bike, play tennis, play badminton, go skiing. Do something where you're going to take this baggage that is going to overwhelm you and freeze you in its tracks, so that the next time you get angry, not only are you angry at that person or at that event, but you have this anger that you've been accumulating for the last 20 years. Folks, it's not worth it. It doesn't solve anything. So do yourself a big favor. Go out and take a walk. Go out and shout at the top of your voice. Go somewhere where you can vent. Go somewhere where you can just make yourself empty out all of this negativism that is making you feel bad. You're in the middle of a pandemic. What are you going to do? Well, I go into the closet. I go into the bathroom. I go into the laundry room, and I let it go, like letting go steam that is built up, and the pressure becomes so overwhelming you blow like a volcano. And if you're young, learn how to control this. I put my anger in my stomach for over 30 years. And now at the great age of 70 to be, I'm paying the price. Don't get started. Take it from me. Learn a way to get rid of that baggage anger so it doesn't control you, and learn to get it out of your system. You'll be happy. Your body will be happy. Your immunity system will thank you. And the baggage will have to find another claimant to come along and pick it up and add them already to what they're lugging around with them. If you're not sure, go look at the chain that Morley and Charles Dickens forged, one link at a time. That's what it is. And every time you get angry, you're forging one more link. Do you really want to lug your baggage of anger with you and drag it through your life? I don't think so. Do you really want to hand it off to your children or somebody you love? I don't think so. So say to yourself, today, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to be in charge of my anger. My anger isn't going to be in charge of me. For people who want more advice of how to handle their anger, please text me at 484-364-1732 or email me at the number one SC podcast, PODCASTS @gmail.com. And we'll form an angry group. A tip, when my kid went to the YWCA, which was the Young Men's Christian Association, they ran a daycare there. And they took one of their rooms and they converted it, putting foam all over the place. And when the kids came out of junior high and high school, the boys stripped down to the shorts, handed over their belts, their sneakers, their socks, anything that had metal in it, their shirts. So they're stripped down to their shirts and their G-strings, I guess. And then the girls stripped down until they were in their bras and panties. And they were put into separate rooms. Guess what? They were given 15 minutes to throw themselves against the wall, to pound the wall, to scream. And by the time parent came to pick up those kids, they were calmer. Why? Because they were allowed to get rid of the anger that they accumulated during the day at school and didn't have a place where they could let it go without getting into trouble. So prepare yourself one of those kind of rooms in your head if you have to, or surround yourself with pillows, but let it out and you'll be a happy camper. Thank you very much for listening. Remember, for additional tips, text me at 484-364-1032 or email me at the number one SC podcast @gmail.com. And have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Friday at 5 o'clock.